Welcome, ladies and gents, Mr. H here to talk about the book of Boba Fett. I thought this would make for an interesting discussion. Now, it's coming to its ultimate episode, its finale, very, very soon, in fact. And I think what this series has now revealed to us is that they dropped the ball on a marketing perspective. Now, I myself have enjoyed this series. It's been up and down. It's not been, great episodes every single time. But the majority of the episodes I have enjoyed. And on a whole, I would say I like this show. So how did they drop the ball? What am I talking about? Well, the last two episodes were Mandalorian episodes, weren't they? That's in effect what they were. And I think the problem with the Book of Boba Fett actually just lies in its marketing. Because if I pop on Twitter, if I go anywhere online and talk to anyone that has watched the show, whether they like or dislike the show, a lot of people's main concerns or main points in terms of negativity, or even positivity in fact, has been to do with Boba Fett's lack of absence in the last two episodes, and obviously them being, in their eyes, and my own as well, some of the best episodes that we've had. Them featuring the Mandalorian has been fantastic. So, why is it a marketing perspective? What's the issue? Well, one of the main issues, again, which people have seemingly had, is that, it's all just full of member berries. We're just getting throwbacks. The universe is really small. I think Disney really dropped the ball, as did Lucasfilm, on marketing this. Because they should have marketed it as part of The Mandalorian. This is an interconnected story. This is still continuing the Mandalorian story. Yes, it's called the Book of Boba Fett, but it is undoubtedly still continuing the Mandalorian story. And it still continues Boba Fett's story as well. It pushes that narrative along nicely. Obviously, he's got his own story to tell there. But this is an interconnected world. It needs to be viewed very, very similarly to, Marvel properties. And I understand, it's potentially a bad comparison, because if we were to look at, say, Loki, for instance, and one of Loki's episodes solely featured Captain America, for instance, I think people would end up being, quite frustrated with that. But it's still an interconnected story on these Star Wars shows, and yeah, they connect it and interweave the story in a different fashion, but it is still an interconnected story. And I think if they had just simply called it something else, it's called the Book of Boba Fett, which if you look at The Mandalorian, they're called, Chapter 1, Chapter 2. They're told in chapters, like a book. But if they had simply had the Book of Boba Fett as chapters in the story of the wider Star Wars universe, this new Star Wars series that's being told, because let's face it, yes, it's still connected to a wider story. It still is laying some of the framework for the sequel trilogy. It connects to the prequels. It literally connects to absolutely everything. But it is still its sort of own little universe. They're using this as a vehicle to bring in different characters, to explain different things, and also to connect it all together. So if they had simply had the Book of Boba Fett within this, and it's the Book of the Mandalorian, or the Book of, Star Wars series, I think it would have been much, much better received. I think they are... I really just think they dropped the ball on the marketing. Because it was never more apparent now, when they are using the Book of Boba Fett as a vehicle to set up Mandalorian Season 3, which, I don't hate, I don't begrudge it. I'm more than happy with that. And I think if people had a different perspective from the start on this show, in terms of how the narrative is being laid out for us, we should be expecting more member berries. We should be expecting little Easter eggs from different characters here and there, and we should expect setup. This show also has quite literally just set up the Ahsoka series, there's a lot that this Book of Boba Fett has been setting up. And I think if you were viewing it as a puzzle piece to a wider picture, I think people would be a little bit less disappointed, at the very least anyway, with the Mandalorian only episodes. Now again, remember, this isn't to talk about the quality of the show. That's not what I'm here to debate with anyone. You guys are more than entitled to dislike it or love it or whatever. The main point here is simply to talk about how they dropped the ball on the marketing. If they had just set it up as, hey guys, you know, this is a new chapter in what we are now calling, you know, because they change names of things all the time. Absolutely all the time. If they'd just simply done that, I think people's expectations would have been gauged a little bit better. And then people would have been a bit happier. But that's just my personal thoughts. I'd love to hear what you guys think. You know, it's not to hand wave away people's concerns about Boba Fett not saying stuff, him saying stuff, him not appearing, him appearing, the quality of the episodes of Boba Fett in. This is not the intention behind this video. I don't want to hand wave away those criticisms, because they are valid criticisms, and you know, people who hold those opinions are more than welcome to have those opinions. But the main point here is just, hey, this being used as a vehicle to set up other series, you know, Ahsoka series, Mandalorian season 3, I don't think is actually I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I think you would be a little bit more confused with why Mando wouldn't seek Boba Fett out, or why Boba Fett wouldn't seek the Mandalorian out when he needs help. Why wouldn't he do that? It almost seems silly. You know, in my perspective, that those characters wouldn't seek one another out in their respective shows. It's almost similar to the perspective of, say, the Netflix Marvel shows, like, you know, Deadpool and Jessica Jones. You never see the bigger characters come into there, and you always think to yourself, well, why wouldn't they? I mean, they would, wouldn't they? They absolutely would come into those series to help those threats, because they're still a threat. It's why in Hawkeye, it seems surprising that you didn't get other Avengers pop along. You know, big explosions going on in New York City. You'd expect at least Spider-Man to drop in. So this isn't in defense of it as a whole. You know, I like this show, but I'm not going to sit and defend it from people that have valid critique. I just think if you'd looked at it from a different perspective, or they'd marketed it from a different perspective, I think it would have been received better. So Disney definitely dropped the ball with Boba Fett. But let me know what you guys think down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this discussion piece. Give the video a like, and please do share it. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care.